AEW coming to town tomorrow night. Valentine's Day. AEW Dynamite and Rampage be at the HEB Center in Cedar Park. Tomorrow night, bell time 7 p.m. Central. Tickets are available. AEWTIX.com. Of course, AEW on the road to Revolution. Not only do you have Sting's final match, good God, 40 years. You'll see, you'll hear from the 3 participants in the world title match, Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, and Swerve Strickland. Ton of matches on tap. I was lucky enough to talk to him last week about this, and lucky even more to talk to him this week. This time, live in studio. Oh. Not only is he a legend himself, over 35 years in wrestling, wrestled in 5 different decades. Of course, one of the huge stars of AEW and the owner and head coach of the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. He is the AEW correspondent for Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, the one and only, the Natural Dustin Rhodes.
Dewey, what's up?
What's up, D?
You said over 35 years my knees started hurting really bad. Just like, my God.
Which one? Because you've
Both.
had, I was going to say, you've had both of them worked on, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. What's going on, man?
How are you? Before we get into all the wrestling stuff, did you watch Super Bowl 58?
I did.
What'd you think?
I thought the first half was no good.
Yeah,
Second
it was
half,
slow.
it picked up a little bit, and it was nice. We've only had 2 overtime games in the Super Bowl, and this was one of them, which was fun. I took 49ers by 3, and the Chiefs won by 3, so it's a tight game.
Well, I think the point spread was like Niners by 1.5. So,
yeah.
I mean, it came down. I had a feeling it was going to come down to whoever had the ball last, and sure enough,
well, you give Patrick Mahomes 2 minutes, he's going to go.
You're right, and congratulations to them back to back. Hasn't been done since the Patriots 03-04.
I think he's on track to just like Brady, man. He is. He reminds me a lot of Brady.
When you heard Travis Kelce, we won a 3-peat.
Yep.
Which hasn't out. I think the Patriots have done it, but I think they're the only ones. So the Cowboys tried it in the 90s.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the stinking Niners, they may have pulled it off.
Yeah. Niners always give us a rough time, don't they?
They especially in the 90s. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have Valentine plans for your wife, Terrell?
Actually, my Valentine Day plans are to, be at the HEB Center. So,
right.
And then probably go straight to bed. Afterwards. At
maybe,
least I won't
maybe
have to be in a hotel and,
maybe a pizza somewhere in between?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to stay a little more healthy these days. So, because you never know. The older you get, the harder it is to get it off.
Yeah.
But I'm doing well. So maybe a pizza.
Okay. All right.
Maybe a pizza.
I kind of want to pick up from where we, left off last week.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about, I guess, one of the big stories, Matt and Nick Jackson, or Matthew and Nicholas.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks, the EVPs, whatever you want to tell them. They seem to be embracing this EVP role, and they seem to have a problem with legends.
Well,
they were beating up Sting after he and Darby win the tag titles, and they seem to have a problem with legends. And I gotta imagine that would definitely include you eventually. Give me your thoughts on the new attitude for the Young Bucks.
Man, they're pompous. They've come in. They're such sweet guys, and now this change of heart, this change of attitude they have. Nicholas and Matthew, what is that? And the whole white suits, and they still got the Sting's blood on it, man. It's crazy. They can come at me. That's fine. I'll be ready for them. I'll have to find Keith Lee or somebody. We'll take care of business. You know what I mean?
I could see Naturally Limitless taking care of business.
I mean,
there.
I've been knocked down 1,000 times, buddy.
Yeah.
I keep getting up. That's why I'm still here.
That's true. That's true. I want to ask you about, so I've watched you coach at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy.
Right.
But when you're coaching backstage, and of course, like we've talked endlessly about how you love coaching the women, but when you're coaching a match, whether it's men or women, is there an overriding philosophy that you try to impart on whoever's going to be in that match as far as what to do in that ring, especially in front of the live cameras?
There is, and my philosophy is less is more sometimes. It's all about moments. It's not about the move set. It's not about what you say on the microphone. It's how you make a person feel in the audience. And if you can grab their attention and make them feel something, good or bad, that's a job well done, right? Because they come and they've had some of them possibly have had a rough day at work or whatever, and they come to be entertained. They want us to take them out of that day for those 2 or 3 hours of that show. That's our job. So it's important to move people, and you got to look at it from the perspective of it's not about doing this 1,000-move thing. It's about just taking your time, trying to tell a story. It's very important to me that all of our talent, learn how to tell a proper story and put it out there and let the people respond. Because truly, I mean, and you look at just television in general, people like to be told a story, right? Of course, it's exciting, all the things we do. We add that to the story. It just makes it just a great show, right? And we're good at that, and that's why we're on television. And, just to see their smiles on their face, and they might come in and they might be a little grumpy or something like that. And I always throw this analogy, somebody out there just does not believe in the wrestling business, and they have their kids with them, right? And the kids love to be there, but you can see that mom or dad is kind of like, oh, I got to sit here for 2 hours with the kids and watch this stuff. I will pick them out. There's always one, and I will work that person and try to move that person. And if I can move that person, I already know the whole arena and the people are at home sitting in their lounge chairs or whatever are moved. And so that's the job that, we try to do, or the job I try to do is make things believable and make things meaningful.
Yeah.
And
that's something I've heard that from legends and stuff about if you perform a move in the ring, have a purpose behind it. Don't do a move just to do the move. Do it because, like you said, it helps to tell that story in the ring.
It does,
and it and like you said, less is more. So
we're salesmen, It's like there's a selling part. You're getting beat up. You're showing the audience that you're hurt, and it's up to me to make them believe in that.
Yeah,
and it's up, but it takes two to tango, right? You can tell a good story with anybody in the ring. For me personally, I could work a broomstick and make it look good.
Right.
And that's just me. And I don't mean to sound pompous because I am very humble, but I'm good at what I do. And it's fun to see the magic happen. And when it does, the crowd responds in kind. And it's just it makes for a good show because then the next match has got to top it.
Right.
And then the next and the next and the next. So it's very important. The first match of the card is the most important on the card.
Yeah.
You have to get their attention. And if you get their attention, they stay.
Yeah. I had to chuckle. You mentioned wrestling a broomstick. During the pandemic, we're looking, everybody in wrestling is looking to do some sort of content or stuff.
Right.
And Ricky Starks approached me. He did a YouTube video of him wrestling B-Room.
Yep.
Broom.
B-Room.
And he wanted me to add the commentary track to it.
Champion, man. B-Room.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, and I played it up like it was the main event of the biggest card ever, and him coming overcoming the odds against B-Room.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
When you mentioned
I make my students do that.
Yeah.
I give them the opportunity at the end of camp to either work an hour match, and if we have enough kids, I'll make one kid work a broom.
Yeah.
And see just how he does.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of our fun day right before graduation.
Right.
We've done everything else for the 12-week period.
Exactly.
I get them ready for TV.
Including shooting the showcase, which, that's always a fun one.
It is.
Someone else I want to ask you about. This
Absolutely.
is someone I have followed for a very long time. I'm lucky enough to know him. I knew his brother, Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
Of course,
Great dude.
for the longest time, one half of one of the greatest tag teams ever in the
Yeah,
Briscoe
man.
brothers with his brother Jay.
Yep.
It was, and what was funny was, so this last Ring of Honor Final Battle up in Arlington, in the post show press conference, he came out and he was talking about how he's been a tag team wrestler for all these years with his brother. Well, now that his brother is passed away, this is almost like his rookie year as a singles wrestler.
Right.
Now he's wrestled singles before, had won championships before, but in essence, this is kind of like his rookie year. Give me your thoughts on what you see from Mark Briscoe and, just kind of the love that the fans have for him.
So, they made their name as the tag team, and they went a long way with it, and they're used to that. And like you said, and I knew you were going there with it. Mark is doing, so good. He's such an incredible talent, very athletic. And when it becomes the unknown of doing singles, matches because your brother's not there, that you can rely on him in a tag team, it is different. It changes the landscape just a little bit, right? And it's like you got to do a little more work, a little harder work. But once he did it, it's like he was probably nervous about it the first time, but our crowd loves him, right? He's so relatable to so many people. And he goes out there and he puts on a good show, and he's a salesman himself, and he tells stories. And just, with the sad thing that happened with his brother, it just it sucks for anybody. But he handled it like a boss, and we all love him. He's family, and that's the one good thing about our AEW locker room is we're very family oriented, and it's great to be a part of such a team, right? I really look at us as a team, like a sports team, and we're all together. Yeah, we have disagreements sometimes, but at the end of the day, as that red light goes on, we go out there and take care of business.
Yeah,
and he does too, and I love him to death. He's a great guy.
Yeah, like I said,
got to tag with him.
That's right.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
He's, like I said, I've been lucky enough. I've gotten to talk to him on several occasions. Going back to Ring of Honor and him and his brother, and I got a Super Bowl pick from his brother one time, and he let me Jay had let me know he was a big Raiders fan.
Yeah.
And I was at a Super Bowl party and ran into Mark Davis, who is the owner of the Raiders. So I got a picture with him and sent it to Jay.
Nice.
Kind of just, hey, here's your team. So, but yeah, I love Mark to death, and he is
Me
so
too,
good.
man. Good kid.
I want to ask you, you've dealt with independent talent on the student showcases.
Mm-hmm.
I call independent, wrestling very, quite often for Inspire and everything. You see all this independent talent.
Yep.
And Tony is so good at bringing them in and giving them that chance.
Yep.
What advice would you give that person that is, that's been working on the independent scene to have them get noticed, get on the radar of AEW, WWE, or Ring of Honor, or TNA, or whatever?
Sure.
Give them, what advice would you give that independent talent?
So the independent talents, they work in front of a large room of people, right? Or high school gyms or wherever, right? And there's no cameras.
Right.
They might be filming it, but it's not for television. I teach for television, and if they come in and they're used to that environment and they're looking all around at the audience, it's different. You have to change the way you do things just a little bit. You have to go make friends with a camera crew. Go make friends with a production crew, because they can make or break you. Find out where every camera is and utilize it. The camera wants to eat your face. So while you're doing, your wrestling and you're on fire and your charisma is just at its top, try to do that towards the camera because it's a television business. You got 1 million watching at home or millions watching at home, and maybe an arena of 20,000 people. The people matter, right? But the people at home are what pays the bills, right? So it's important to always feed your face to the camera, find your cameras, get a gift made out of you or whatever it is, and show that camera, because it's not just about the arena. Yeah. You do something really good for the people at home, everybody in the arena is going to respond to it.
Right.
Have fun. But it is also good to acknowledge the audience there, but not fully.
Right.
Right? More so for television.
Yeah.
So that's why we have cameras placed on one side of the building as opposed to the back side.
Right.
Right. So if you're going to acknowledge the back side of the audience, they're looking at you from the back.
Yeah.
Right, on television. So do it for a second, then turn around and let's get the acknowledgement from the people at home. So that's one of the big things that I would tell them or help them with.
Yeah. And that would make sense because most independent promotions are streaming on something, whether it's IWTV or High Spots or
right.
Whatever wrestling streaming service you use. Most promotions are putting their shows on. If they're not streaming live, they're on there, a few days or a week later, so you can watch them. So it makes sense to pay attention to where the cameras are, and that makes total sense. It kind of helps groom you for when you get that opportunity.
And when you are on the indies too, another thing, it's not the big leagues, right?
Right.
So when you come to the big leagues, it's all about presentation. It's all about your manners, the way you act, professionalism, the way you look, the way you dress, the way your TV gear is, right? You don't want somebody on television that doesn't have good gear, right? You want the very best looking that stands out, and yourself, you're trying to be your own brands, and you're trying to do something that's different than everybody else, which is very hard because there's so many people on television that does just about all of the things. So it's hard to pick and choose what to do and what not to do. But just your professionalism, you're talking to the boss, yes, sir, no, sir, those kinds of things go a long, long way with your work ethic. And you're checking your ego at the door every day, and you're treating it like it's the first day on the job. Those are the things that I was taught early on, and they're important.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I've been around so long.
Right. Wrapping up, as I mentioned, AEW Revolution coming up on March 3rd. Sting will have his final match, closing out a 40-plus year career. I've told him before, I remember, the first time I saw him was back in 84, 85 when he and Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, they were the Blade Runners.
Yeah.
And they came into Mid-South Wrestling and terrorized Mid-South Wrestling. And, in fact, saw the Blade Runners at a Mid-South house show in Longview, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. I want to ask you, because you and I have talked about this quite a bit.
Yep.
Have you thought of the end game for your career? Because we've talked about it. We've talked about it probably, but I want it kind of, I know watching Sting and getting him ready for his last match, I know that's in the back of your mind.
It is. And, the older I get, the harder it gets. But the thing about me is my work ethic, and I work hard, and every time that red light's on, I try to do my very best. And so far, being here for the 5 years I have, in my 50s, I'm doing amazing, and I've not had one bad match, and it's been pretty cool to think back of all the good matches I've had here in AEW, and I've wrestled everybody. It's unbelievable, but it has been on my mind. Like last year, I said I got 1 year left, and I'm going past that. So it's like I don't want to say that again until it, because you never say never, right? It's
Absolutely.
Like crazy, but I see myself 2 to 4 more years.
Okay.
If my legs allow me to.
Right.
If, Tony Khan is gracious enough to keep me around and keep me on television, that's great. Whatever I can do to help, but I love producing too.
Yeah.
So that's also what I can fall back on. So there's a lot of good things going here. I've got got a lot. So I take it one day at a time, man, and one show at a time. Whatever Tony gives me, I'll go out there and I'll blow it out of the park and have some fun. And yeah, I'll be sore for a week and a half after. You know, it's not like next day, like Ricky Starks feels better the next day, right? Or, I feel like probably Darby Allin every time I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I believe me. I've watched you walk around, at the RWA, and especially after you do a match on Dynamite or Rampage or Collision.
Yeah,
and I can see it. I can see the wear and tear, but that desire that you have, and I will tell you, and I'm not saying this because we're friends. This run you've had in AEW. There have been times when it's better than what we saw, say, the early days of Goldust, or even when you were at your hottest in WWE.
Yeah.
What we have seen now with AEW, it takes that to a new level, and it's really cool to watch.
Well, it's kind of special, too, because I am in my 50s, and I'm able to do these things because I work hard in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And, the pain management over the years with all the surgeries and things like that, you suck it up. And the way I was taught is you tape it up and you go, right? You don't say, I'm going to sit out this weekend. This is an opportunity. I'm stepping up, no matter what. Unless I cannot walk, then we do something else, but it's like then I'm missing something. I still like to go out there and perform. I'm still very passionate about it, and I do want to wrestle. And it's not always about me. It's about the other roster members.
Yeah.
And I've had a great career, and anything that Tony gives me is unbelievable. I'll take it. I love it. And just try to pull it off the best I can. But, man, I'm 55 in a couple of months, and, it is catching up. Definitely is catching up. I'm a lot sore, but my passion is strong and my work ethic is strong, and I owe that to my dad and my mom, just as Cody does, and Cody's on his own path and own trail right now, and he's doing amazing, and it's fun to watch him now start to succeed and get the notoriety that he deserves. Our legacy is pretty strong.
I agree.
And I think there is more than one royal family, and I think, believe it or not, I'm maybe biased, but I'm going to say we're at the top of it.
I would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
I would. AEW's coming to Austin area. AEW has, they have certain cities where they are just as hot as can be, and Austin has become one of those cities. Every event I've been to here, whether it's at the HEB Center or at the Moody Center, it's hot. The crowd is, get a good crowd. They're into it. They're loud from start to finish. Just talk about how proud you are being an Austinite yourself. How proud you are when AEW comes to the capital of Texas, that this city shows up and shows out.
Well, it's the number one thing I love about it is that I get up and I get to drive straight to the building and straight home afterwards. I don't have to get on an airplane, and the travel over the years is tough. That's probably the toughest thing we do. The wrestling part of it is, believe it or not, easier.
Yeah.
It's the travel, but to be able to drive down to your home building, right, and wrestle in front of your hometown crowd in your backyard, get in the truck, my old truck, not a rental car, drive back to the house, have a pizza, sit down, don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to catch a flight back home. Yeah. It's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Same for, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Houston, all these towns. Texas is a hotbed for pro wrestling, and their crowds respond in kind, and they are loud, and they love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Well, who are you looking forward to tomorrow night? My big thing is we're going to hear from Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Hangman Adam Page, and I think that might just get out of hand a little bit.
Oh, that's not going to be peaceful. Obviously Sting and Darby, now that they are the tag champions.
Yep.
I want to see how they respond to what the Young Bucks did last week. There's
even Adam, formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland.
Yeah, Adam Copeland.
He's
absolutely
got a young kid who's really,
Daniel Garcia.
And John, we're talking about it. Daniel Garcia is an unbelievable little talent who's over with the fans. They love him.
Yeah.
He's got the moves.
He does.
If
He
you
does.
say.
That I don't know what it is between him and Prince Nana. The dancing, just
It's
is really gotten over.
Maybe that's my next gimmick. I start dancing a little bit like Dad used to do, but that's just not me. But I'll still do it anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They probably laugh at it instead of going, "Yay, we love this."
It's going to be a fun show. Looking forward to it. AEW Dynamite and Rampage coming up tomorrow night.
Excuse me.
Valentine's Day.
It's my daughter's birthday, Dakota.
Dakota's birthday.
Yeah.
Love Dakota. Happy birthday, Dakota.
Yeah, man.
And of course, your grandson. How's the grandson?
Great. He's walking.
He is.
He's taking about 5 or 6 steps now, and I think he's only 9 months.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
I'm not sure.
All right. AEW Dynamite Rampage tomorrow night, HEB Center at Cedar Park. Bell time 7 p.m. Central. Tickets, AEWTIX.com.
It's going to be a great show. Come on out. Enjoy it.
It's going to be a hot show. He is the Natural Dustin Rhodes. D, I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
All the best to you.
Absolutely.
Love you to death.
Love you too, man.
And we'll talk again soon.
You got it.